Readjust. Please. Why, hello, it is the school supply time of year. No, it's not. You know, back to school supplies doesn't mean that kids are the only ones who get to play with these fun, cheap supplies. Because you know what? Us adults can have a good time with them too. You do not need expensive supplies to make a cool thing. You don't know. So all the goodies. I want one of everything, please. Is that too much to ask? I gotta tell you, I have never used Mondo Llama. Is that it? Is it Mondo Llama? But it's the Target brand. And these were super cheap at Target this time of year. And they look like a Crayola knockoff, you know? But I think we should give these a go. Let's see how they do. Maybe they're good. I don't know. We're going to find out. And I think we might be able to do some fine art with kids' supplies. Why not? Doesn't that sound fun to you? It sounds fun to me. I just want to do that, yeah.
Sometimes the universe asks you to take a break, and I had to take a break, and it's okay. I'm okay. My people are okay. Everything's okay. I just had some things I had to attend to, and I attended to them, and so now I'm back. I really did miss this. You know, I really did miss interacting with you guys and making this content, because I really do love this form of communication. I do. I can't describe the quality and the depth of joy I can elicit from just making these videos and producing them. And it's not because I make money from these. I don't. I literally do not make any money from these. I'm too small. Nobody's found me, you know. And that's okay. That's, you know, at the end of the day, that's not really the point. The point is, well... Now we're going to get into the territory of things that are hard for me to talk about. Because a lot of this stuff is very difficult to talk about because it's not, you know, it's not the normal narrative. We've stepped into a timeline where if you start actually analyzing the things around you, you start seeing how much of everything around you is just a lie. And, you know, I've been a perceptive person for as long as I can remember. Now, I did have a hell of an injury when I was in my late teens and 20s that kind of took me out of a lot of work that I could have done for a long time. I've spent more than a decade trying to regain my speech and my communication. And making these videos and talking through them has been a very important step in that very long story. I am meant to be like a shaman. I am meant to be one of the speakers and the teachers. It is what has been asked of me. And I will fulfill that role as best I can. But, you know, it's part of universe's humor. It's part of the humor of universe to ask that sort of thing from somebody who has dealt with pretty intense brain injury. But that is the thing. And a lot of this stuff is very hard to talk about. It just is, just by virtue of what it is. I have only recently regained a lot of my function, a lot of my ability to talk at all. A lot of, you know, the direct people around me don't really understand how much I've been fighting for the last more than a decade. We're literally approaching 15 years of this. This is how long I have been fighting this. And, you know, that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing to comprehend. To spend that long of time on the sidelines, being stuck with yourself and not being able to get things out to other people, you know? And that's a very difficult thing for me to get across to people. That this is what this has been. You know, this is what I have been dealing with for an extremely long time. I'm sure most of my family just kind of saw me as just a very quiet person most of the time. It probably, you know, because, you know, you go through life most people go through life not really thinking too deeply about much of anything at all around them. They just accept things as they are and do the best they can with what they have and, you know, the format of what they expect of the world. And they expect most of the things around them to be as they should be all the time. But it is not so. The world is constantly changing. We are on different timelines all the time, and things do shift. Things do change. And there has been a very, very large shift, and it is continuing to shift. It's like falling through the air very, very slowly. You know, falling off a cliff, but in slow motion. And that's what this is kind of like right now. It's the strangest thing to watch. And because I've been stuck in my own mind for so long, not really able to get anything to anybody, I have been stuck with a lot of the visions and the dreams, and I see a lot of stuff that happens before it happens. And while I was dealing with what I had to deal with, a lot of that had to go on pause, because the universe, the other beings in the universe, have a very good grasp on what you as a person can handle and what you as a person need maybe a little break from. As a gift, I was given a little bit of a break as I dealt with some things that I needed to deal with. But the minute I was done, the minute I had corrected the things that needed to be corrected, instantly started getting all of it back. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I am meant to see things. I am meant to be in a position to be able to talk about these sorts of things. I just am. That is one of the blessings from universe. Because it is a blessing, and it is a curse. It is both. It is always both. It will always be both. I'm not going to talk about why I had to step away for a bit, and that's okay. You know, things are okay. Sometimes it's just required. I'm not going to talk about the very personal visions I've been gifted, because some of them are related to people I know, and what will happen to people I know, and what I need to know about that before it happens so I can prepare for it. Sometimes that kind of stuff is real dark, and it's not something I really want to share with others at this moment. And that's okay. You know, that's okay. Many things can be seen as blessings, and to be given time to process something before it happens is very much a blessing. And it is something that is not afforded to many. But it is hard to see things that you can't really share with other people. You know, the strangest thing about all of this is that almost nobody in my circle, almost nobody around me, talks about the sort of things that I do. Almost nobody. There's one, and that is it. Every single other person that is within my circle is somebody I would consider, a normie, who's not thinking outside of really thinking about the things that are happening, why they're happening. In a lot of ways, I'm just kind of waiting. I'm waiting for, well, we're kind of in a holding pattern, to be honest. A lot of people who see things before they see things. We're in that holding pattern right before things really, really start to happen. Now, if you've been paying attention, and I know many of you have been, we've already been seeing a lot of the really dark stuff come to fruition. We've already seen things start, like the chips that they want to put for everybody. We've already seen things that want to start, like the world centralized money, or the eating of the bugs, and those sorts of things. The medical passports that have no actual thing to do with medicine at all. It's just a way to control the populations. That's all that is. All that stuff is just to return humanity to a form of serfdom. That is what the goal of that is. It's not going to be successful. It's not. You know, the name of this channel, Full Cup Creative, I picked that because it is the best descriptor of how I go through life. You know, life is hard. Life is incredibly hard. So much is asked of us from universe. We are expected to do a lot and to experience a lot. But I choose every day when I get up and I wake up in the morning, I choose optimism. I do. It is a choice. I choose the sunny side of life. The strangest part of right now, really is, that so few seem to be able to see past the narrative that is being sold. So few seem to be able to see past that. That will change. That will change soon. There will be a shifting in the populace, and it will be a sight to behold. Make sure you and your household and your family are on the good side of prepared for that, because that is the point in this story that I would not expect there to be regular public services that are available. That is the part where, it might be a little difficult to get water in the pipes, or food at the grocery store, or electricity out of the wires, or internet on the phone. It'll be a brief time and be very quick, the in-between, as the time is shifting, because time is shifting. Our history is shifting. The things that we currently think are real history are not. Much has been hidden from us. I am extraordinarily excited about the prospect of there being more history. I am so ready for it. Give it to me, I want it. I want to know more about actual history. About how we were made, and how we were changed, and how we lived, and how we were organized, how we were developed. I would like to know more, and I think many others would too. But there is that fundamental shift that must happen in your thinking. You must be able to think, oh, maybe I don't actually understand. Maybe I have more to learn. If you're not able, if you don't have the capacity to question it, if you don't have the capacity to say, you know what, maybe these experts aren't so expert in any way, shape, or form. If you don't have the capacity for that, you're going to miss out on all the beauty of seeing actual history, actual truth, actual life. You're going to miss out on all that. You're going to be stuck in all the controlled things. I don't want that. You probably don't want that either. If you were on this channel, you were probably one of the ones that see things. And that is a blessing. I know it doesn't feel like it. I know it doesn't feel like it often. It is true, though. I remember one of my earlier visions. I wouldn't say one of my earliest, because this has been a thing since childhood. But one of the much earlier ones was seeing a sunrise and a sunset at the same time. And I did not understand. And it did not make sense. And it still doesn't make sense. But it was like living in two realities at the same time. I was convinced that somehow the sun had changed its direction. That there is no way that it could rise. There was no way at all, that it can both rise and set in the east and rise and set in the west. It made no sense. Still doesn't make sense to this day. But the duality of things like this, of multiple planets, multiple suns, is something that still haunts me today. And you can see it in a lot of the work that I do, a lot of the images that I make. It's a pretty frequent thing. It appears quite often, the duality of it. And the thing with visions and that sort is, not all of them are pleasant. I would say that the majority of them for the last decade have not been pleasant. I have seen very, very ugly things. But I've also seen very, very beautiful things. And I know for certainty we must go through a time of very, very ugly things before we can get to the really, truly beautiful things. We must go through that change first. We are at the start of the change. Many things have already changed. There is no going back to the pre-virus time. There's no going back to that, because a lot of that world was already a lie. And we are starting to learn. It's coming out in public how much of that stuff is a lie. How much of politics, how much of medicine, how much of education, how much of real estate, how much of stocks, how much of gold and silver, how much of Antarctica, or the moon, or the sun or stars. How much of any of it do we actually know? Probably very little. And I'm extraordinarily excited to see more of it. I hope I get to live that long. I really do. I hope I get to live to the other side of this. I do. I'm extraordinarily excited about it. Is that a strange thing to say? Probably. But something being strange has never stopped me before. Never has. Never will. I know I've alluded to really ugly things that I've seen. And I don't want to spoil your afternoon. I don't. I really don't. You know? I would like you to also feel a optimism for future. Because there is definite reason to feel optimism for future. There really is. I know sometimes it feels like it is a very hard thing to grasp. A very hard thing to see optimism. Especially when there's so much fuckery around. Because there's a lot of it. There's a lot of people screwing with stuff that there really shouldn't be. But that's okay. They're not gonna win. They're just not. It's just one of those situations where everything must be exposed. You're watching a play. You're watching a movie. You know? You are watching everything unfold as it must. And you must live your life through that. You must continue. You must add. You must always add to the world. Always. It's what the universe likes. There's a delight in newness for the universe. There is. There is a delight in addition. That's what you are here for. I've talked about the different types of souls before, and different types are needed to strike a balance within the universe. So, evil is as necessary as good. Destruction is as necessary as creation. But oh boy, wouldn't you rather be part of creation? I know I do. I know I am. I'm here to build. I'm here to create and to add. Always to add. Always. To the end of my days. And then in the next universe too. The next time. I'm a very firm believer in reincarnation. I am. We get to do this many times. And there's not really a great way for me to express this. But maybe there is. I'll see what I can do. It's not that you're exactly a different person when you are given another shot at life. That's not exactly it, but our bodies here are like shells, like the shell of an almond. And inside each shell is a very, very valuable consciousness is inside each. You know, sometimes the shells are injured, sometimes they are crushed, and they are not forever. But the consciousness continues. Just like a seed that grows another tree, you get to do this again. You do retain a bit. You do retain a little bit of who you were before. That's just kind of part of it, is that a lot of things that feel like gut intuitions, a lot of things that feel like, how do I say it? A lot of things that you know without knowing. A lot of things that come to you and you cannot place where it came from, but it ends up actually having value to you. It ends up actually being a real thing, a true thing to you. That was from previous times. That is knowledge that is core to your existence. Things that the universe felt that you needed to take with you for the next time. So you do get to retain a little bit each time. And your soul grows every time. That is the purpose of being here as well. One of the more strange things in this, at least to me, is that through my childhood and through my life, I have always been described by others as an old soul. And you know, there was a period of time that I thought, you know, maybe that was maybe that was because of depression and those sorts of issues, but no, I don't think that's it. I think that I have done this many times. And I have been asked to be a shaman of sorts many times. Here I am again, in one of the most interesting times in history for us as humans. This will be a time that will be talked about for centuries and be studied and questioned for centuries of how the things actually happened as they did. How the mass psychosis of literal millions of people took things that had no value to them, only harm, but willingly. How people were coerced into things that 20 years before would have been thought of as crazy. And how the formerly most loving of society turned into the ones with the most vitriol. You know, this is something we will be questioning for centuries and generations and looking upon this time with wonder. You have survived this far from this. You have survived this long. I don't know how many of you have said no to things. Don't tell me. Don't put it on the internet. Let's be serious here. Keep as much as you can out of Google. Do that. Google already knows way more than it should about every single person who uses any of its services. It just does. That's one of the other things that's kind of really disturbing. But there's a lot of disturbing things in the world right now. It's hard to kind of, put to words which ones you feel are more disturbing than others, because get hit left and right with really disturbing things just everywhere. Just everywhere. But always remember, you are a beautiful part of the universe. You have a good story to tell, and I hope you get to tell it. You have a part to play in this, as do I, as do all the people you know. You are loved. Keep going. Don't give in. Keep making cool stuff. Bye.